today I have Miss Echo here with me. In case you hear any laughter in the background, she's cracking herself up. So loud. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to take a regular photo, I guess taken in summer or spring or whenever, and turn it into a fall photo, or something that resembles fall colors. So this is just a fun edit I did for a client, and so this is already completed. Like, the edit is already completed. I've done all of the work that I wanted to do, and now I'm just going to play with the background colors to get a fall theme, and I may add in some leaves depending on how they look. I haven't gotten that far yet. Okay, but so just to show you, here's my beginning photo and here's my edit, and then we're going to play around with the colors a little bit. So I want to take my background layer and drag it down to copy. So now you don't really want to work on your basic background layer, because then you can't really get rid of that if you mess up something. So you always want to work on the copy. So first I want to come down here to my adjustment layers and go to selective color, and I want to just play around with these. If you select where your yellows are, there's a drop down, and this will change all of your colors. So first I want to work with yellow, and I'm not entirely sure what is going to work best for each image, so you just kind of play around with them to see your level of greens may be different. You may have some more browns. It just is trial and error. So I'm going to move my yellow, and I'm going to be looking back here. This is what I want to change the most. So when I drag my yellows up, I'm noticing that I get a little more yellow and orange. So that's what I want. I do like to keep my images dark, but if you like lighter images, then you may want to decrease your blacks. And when I bring my cyan down, I'm also getting more orange. So for that, I'm going to leave it. I want to play with my greens. Also, just drag your yellows around, and cyans. Okay, now I'm going to click on this adjustment layer mask, and I'm going to come over here and make sure I have a brush selected, and I want to drop it down to about 80, and since my mask is white, I need my brush to be black, and I'm just going to brush this off of my subject. I don't want her to be too orange. Now if I were doing this for a client or for a portfolio or something, I'd probably take my time a little bit more, but for this I'm just kind of using it as an example. Okay, so that has warmed up our image a little bit. I want to come back down and do another selective color layer, and this time I want to work with my reds, and I want to bring down my cyan again, bring up my yellows, and I'm just playing around with these. I don't want magenta really, but okay. So now I'm going to brush this off of her again. So you notice it's turning her skin a funky color. Don't mind my little fish down here. As Echo has pointed out, I'm not the best at composites, and he looks fake, but it's just a fun edit. Is it funny?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm working on it. I'll get better at composites eventually.
Okay.
Everybody starts somewhere, right? Okay, so now that I've got this, you don't have to flatten your background, but I like to. I just right click on any one of these layers and flatten. I flatten just because I know that this is where I want it. Okay, so now I'm going to duplicate my background layer again, So you just drag it down to this little paper. And then I'm going to come up to filter, camera raw filter. She's just cracking herself up over here. It's just so funny. Okay, so now I'm going to come up here to my HSL adjustments. And these let you, this area lets you play with your colors as well. Now, since we have a duplicated background layer, we don't have to worry about this affecting our actual subject. So whatever colors you change it to is really just going to be affecting your leaves and I guess a little bit of your grass if you wanted to. So I want to bring my yellows to a little bit more orange. And I'm working in the hue section. And my oranges over a little deeper. I guess you just play around with this. Luminance, darker, lighter. I feel like fall is really warm. I'm going to click on, actually I'm going to go back to this, the basic little circle, and I want to drag my yellow slider over quite a bit. Add a little bit of contrast too. And then I'm going to select OK. And I know we gave her a pretty good tan, but we're going to fix that. So come down here and select your mask. Make sure your mask is selected and your brush is black, and I'd say still about 80%. You don't want to brush it completely off of your subject because then they won't really fit into the backgrounds. They'll be too cool and your background will be too warm, and it will be very noticeable that you've done a lot of adjustments. But I don't want her hands to be orange or her skin. I'm going to bring this down a little bit more, my opacity up here of my brush, bring it down to about 30%, and I want to brush this off of everything else except for our background. I don't want our little fish to be orange either. Okay, so I will flatten that. I'm going to take a snapshot and just show you where we are now, and this is where we started. So we started in a little bit of I guess evening, summer photo, and now it's sort of fall. And you can brush this off even more if you wanted, so that this isn't so warm, but I kind of like it warm. And then I'm going to choose from one of these two, probably this one. Wait. Which one do you like better? This one? Or this one?
I like it. I don't know.
I like this one. We'll just go with this one. So I'm just going to select that and just click and drag it to this one. I'm going to select OK. And then come up here to edit, free transform, and then I'm going to make it the size of my photo. I guess you can also just use the individual leaves, because I'm going to brush off quite a few of these. So then I'm going to select OK with my check mark. I want to add a mask, so the little rectangle with the circle. And then again with my brush, select the brush. I want this to be at 100% though, on black. And now you just kind of take off the ones that you don't want. So if, I of course don't want them on her. I don't want it coming out of her head. And get rid of these right here. And let's see, I'm going to get rid of this one. And this is pretty random. I'm just going to get rid of the ones that are bugging me. They look a little distracting, or looks like we have too many leaves. And because leaves don't typically fall down in giant chunks like this. Which one are you pointing to?
That
This
one's
big one?
really, yeah, really big.
Well, it's kind of in the it's in a different level. So the ones that you can see really clearly are on the same plane as her. They're in the same depth of field as she is. So the ones that are really blurry are up close to the camera, and the ones that are small and blurry are further away from the camera. So that's what it's supposed to be like. But let's see. So you don't like that one?
Nah, it's fine. I
It's too
explained
much?
it. No.
Oh, okay. So you like it now. Okay. We'll just leave it then. Alright, so any other ones that bug you?
Not really. You can get rid of them if you like.
Okay, so, now that we have just a few, I guess, falling down, I do want to take this, so click on your actual layer, not the mask, and come up here to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. Because even though these few here are on the same plane as she is, we want them to be in focus, but not so sharp that they look super fake. So we're going to click on Gaussian Blur, and this is 3. Let's see. Kind of just want to play around with it. So that's none. That's a radius of 0.1, and then this is too much, maybe. What do you think? I think 9 is okay. I think that looks good, right? Okay. So we select OK. So that's without leaves, and that's with leaves. And of course you could, get rid of a lot more if you wanted. So we could get rid of this one, make it look a little more natural if we only have a couple falling. It just depends on what you're looking for. I'll flatten this, and let's see, we'll come back down here to our adjustments. You could stop here, you could make it really warm and fall-like, come to our adjustment layers and select color lookup, and then come to the top one, and they have a bunch of different little color profiles, I guess, that are here. There's fall, crisp, warm, that's too much, so you just come back up here to the top. I like the fall colors, I think it's really pretty. And then that is obviously too much, so you just kind of drop down your opacity right here, and then you can paint it on or off with your brush. So again, if I have a white mask, I need a black brush. You can change your opacity, paint it off where you want it, just whatever. You can raise your opacity, really fall-like. There are others. Come back down here and do it again. Let's see. Late sunset, soft warming. What is soft warming? That's kind of pinkish. I guess it's a little pretty. Maybe drop the opacity way down to like 5 or 10%. And flattening. Okay, so I'm going to take a snapshot so you can see our before and after. So here's our straight out of camera image. Here's our after editing image where we started today, and then here is where we ended. So here's our fall photo, and again this is our before photo and our fall photo. What do you think?
You're good.
Okay. So thank you for watching our video and hanging out with us for a little bit.
I was laughing too much.
Yeah, you were laughing. That's okay. But we'll talk to you again next time.